What's up, everybody? My name is James Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of Between the Lines Sports, and welcome to the first edition of Prospect Recap. If you've been following our social media on Instagram or Twitter at BTL Hoops, you noticed that we highlighted 3 players from our first NBA mock draft of the year. What we're going to do now is we're going to take those 3 players and identify some strengths and weaknesses and how we feel they will fit at the next level. We're going to do this every week leading up to the NBA draft in June. Hope you guys like this. And again, stay tuned for more content as we're going to continue to do this every week leading up to the draft. I will begin with Omari Moore. Actually, before we do that, Drew, introduce yourself. You can kind of tell everybody who you are, what you're doing real quick, and then I'll jump into recapping on Omari.
Right on, James. So as James said, I'm Drew Barton. I'm doing a lot of our West Coast scouting, so Pac-12, WCC, Mountain West stuff. It's all in my backyard. I'm actually born and raised from the Bay Area, so have a great time going to Stanford, Cal, USF, St. Mary's. Some great basketball around. Currently getting my master's degree, almost wrapped up at the University of San Francisco right now in sport management. And I've been trying to get into basketball in the NBA for a long time. My dad grew up in a basketball household. He coaches, so James gave me a great opportunity to put all those hours I pump into ESPN to some good use. So I'm excited to be chatting about the guys I've been watching for the past couple of weeks.
Good stuff. Drew, we're happy to have you, and we're gonna jump right in. So the first guy that I'm going to talk about is Amari Moore Jr. Or Amari Moore. He's a junior from San Jose State. He's currently averaging 13.6 points, 5.4 rebounds, 4.7 assists, shooting 49% from the field, and actually shooting 50% from the three-point line on 2 attempts. So it's not a lot. He's not getting a lot up, but it's enough over the course of 14, 15 games. He's shooting 2 a game. He's knocking down 1 every game. What I like most about Amari in particular is first his size. He's a legit 6'6", long arms. He's athletic, and he's the primary ball handler on this team. He gets out in transition, so he's playing past the lanes. He's filling lanes, finish over the rim. He rebounds at a high clip for a guard, which is always important for your lead guard. He can see over the top of a defense, finds guys. He made some of the games I watched just coming off pick and roll, getting downhill, and just seeing on the top of guys whipping the ball to the corner for wide open threes. And then finally, just his ability to just shoot the ball. I mean, for me, we all know that the NBA is threes and layups. That's what analytics say. Him shooting 50 at a clip like this midway through the season says a lot for me. Obviously the competition isn't always at a high level where he's playing, but I watched him play against Stanford. It was primarily guarded by Harrison Ingram, who we have in our top. I think he's 28, 29, somewhere around that in our mock draft right now. And he was going to work. That's all I can say. I'm not going to talk bad about anybody, but let's just say he did his thing. I think he had 27 points in that game. Got downhill, DHOs, pick and roll stuff. Found teammates. So for me, highlighting Omari Moore is going to be he's going to be a steal if he decides to come out in this draft this year. But 6'6" lead guard that can shoot it from 3, can be a secondary ball handler in the NBA, fine guys. I think he has a lot of tools that are necessary to be successful in the NBA. So that's my first take on Amari Moore. Drew, I'll let you come in and you can talk about our second guy.
Yeah, so Isaiah Mobley, I'll be the first to admit, last year when USC made their tournament run, I had all eyes on his brother, who, as we all know, ended up going top 3 in this draft and is having a great year with the Cavs. Fast forward a year later now, and USC looks a lot better at this point in the season they did last year, and that's entirely thanks to Isaiah Mobley. I know we did some counting stats, but he's up to, I believe, about 14.8 points a game, 8.8 rebounds, 3.1 assists, a block, shooting 47% from the field, 41% from three-point, and 65% from the free throw line. Wow. What's most impressive to me about this is he actually leads USC in all statistical categories as a scorer, rebounder, passer, and the only one he doesn't lead in is blocks, where he's averaging 1 a game. So he's still protecting the rim using that 6'10" frame. I also really want to give him credit and highlight that his maturity has been on full display this season. He's taking on a lot of responsibility, playing about 33, 34 minutes a game, and all of his percentages have stayed relatively the same as they were last year when he was in more of a support role. And his free throw percentage is actually up 11 points. So Mobley has just shown through this point in the season that he has taken his game to the next level, can be a lead dog. And I actually saw him also play Harrison Ingram against Stanford. And that was actually the game where I think USC's undefeated streak came to an end. Mm-hmm. But I have to give the guy credit. I mean, he played a great, complete basketball game, played almost the entire game, 40 minutes, put up 16 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 60% from the field. And what I really love about Mobley is you can already tell his offensive feel for the game is extremely high. At 6'10", he is, in my opinion, the definition of a point forward. He knocked down some catch and shoot threes that were contested, got to the rim with either hand. And what really flashed was his passing. He had some really great moves where he'd get to the basket, jump stop, pass out of the double to an open shooter. He had a couple of straight line drives where he got his defender in the air and then dumped the pass off down to a diving big and just showed a really great offensive feel. James and I talked about this earlier. Defensively, he doesn't flash too much, but I think at this point, having watched him play a few other games, it's more because they're just reserving him for offense. They need him to be that engine that drives their offensive game. And I think I've went back, watched their game against Oregon, watched against Colorado and Utah. And what I love about him is he's always impacting the game and doesn't hijack an offense. He had 8 shots against Utah State and still put up 10 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. He went 5 for 13 against Colorado and still had 13 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Just a guy who knows how to play basketball. And I think we're going to see that he's not as polished defensively as his brother was, but his offensive game, I think, is NBA ready. And, James and I talked about this, 22, he's on the older side, but he's a guy that I think can come in and give you some of those 7th, 8th man minutes right away.
So lastly, we're going to talk about Johnny Davis. This was a shock to a lot of people that I had Johnny Davis listed at number 2 in our mock draft. And it kind of goes back to what I just talked about. While Johnny his ceiling may not be as high, I think his floor is very high. I think, Johnny can come in and be a contributing player, a starter, French starter, 6th, 7th man off the bench for a long time. I think he just kind of fits in right now. He's not your traditional or modern day NBA 2 guard. He's more of a throwback. He's got a lot of his game is in the mid range. He's got a great build. His ability to shoot the mid range off the dribble, off the catch, go mid post. His ability to straight line drive. All those things matter to me because while everyone wants threes and layups, which is fine, we all know that in crunch time situations, you need a bucket. And however you can get that bucket is what matters. And so really good players operate in the mid range. Kevin Durant operates in the mid-range. DeMar DeRozan operates in the mid-range. Surprisingly, Steph Curry gets a lot of mid-range shots because he's going to pump you and he's going to take that one dribble, get in. So, it's the guys that can do it and do it well always tend to, go to it. It's not something that is foreign to good players. I think Johnny Davis is a really good player. And so for me, putting him at number 2 is more of it's a safe bet for me. While taking a chance on a younger guy that may have to develop and may have to figure out the NBA game, a guy that, literally averaged, I think 5 or 6 points last year, his freshman year, struggled, went to USA basketball, U19s, kind of figured out who he was playing against other really good players and came in his sophomore year on a mission. And so for me, again, that mindset of, having to go through something, maybe he's missed Wisconsin basketball as a senior in Wisconsin coming out of high school. I'm sure he stepped on campus thinking that he was going to be the primary guy. When things didn't go his way, he had to readjust, he had to pivot, and now he's kind of stepped into his space almost. This is who I am, this is what I'm going to be. And for me, I love that aspect about him. And then going into the stats, he's averaging 22 points, almost 7.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He's shooting 43% from the field, and he's shooting right around 37% from 3. So he's not a bad 3-point shooter to say the least either. I think he's just, I think since he operates so heavily in the mid range, people don't see that he can shoot the ball pretty well. And the other side is this at the NBA level, the shots that he's getting are probably going to be a little bit more open. You got to think about that too. If he's not a primary guy, primary ball handler, he's getting a lot of stuff on swings. And so if he can knock down, a wing 3 or a corner 3, at this same 33% rate, I think he's just fine. And then if you factor in his mid-post action and his ability to drive to the basket, straight line stuff, I think he's going to be good. And so Johnny Davis at number 2 is. So that's it. Those are the 3 guys that we wanted to recap from our mock draft from this past week. Amari Moore, San Jose State, Isaiah Mobley, USC, and Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. Hey, Drew, I really appreciate you being the first scout to kind of jump on and help out with this.
No, I was going to say, hopefully I keep, finding good guys and keep pulling some guys, especially in that, second round, end of the lottery, late first round, because I love talking hoops, man. Yeah. Like you said, I think that it's so interesting that, like we had said, some of these guys, people see 20, 21, 22 years old and panic. And I'm like, I'll take 8 years of a player in their prime that are going to come into the league and be ready to contribute, then take a guy who I might have to develop for a year or two they might not pan out. And even if they do, you've still spent 2 years, developing them. So, it'll be interesting to see. But I think, a guy like Isaiah Mobley, I think overshadowed by younger brother, and he's shown like I can play too.
Mhm.
And so I'm really curious to see where he goes because, you mentioned it. He was bottom of drafts, he's undrafted, and now we've got him up at 20. And I think by the time it's all said and done, if he takes it to UCLA, takes it to Arizona, he's going to probably climb.